Hello, Pasco Ninjas. I want to share a wonderful book with you today. I have this great book called Yonder Mountain, a Cherokee Legend. I really do enjoy this book because I like to visit the mountains, the Smoky Mountains in North Carolina, in North Georgia, and Tennessee. And I picked up this book because of the Native Americans who live in that region have wonderful legends, and this book happens to be one of them. So, Yonder Mountain, a Cherokee Legend, has beautiful illustrations in my book here, and it really depicts what the Smoky Mountains look like. The Smoky Mountains have this fine mist that just lays over the mountains all the time, and it's just beautiful. So, let's begin with my story of Yonder Mountain. Once in the land of the Cherokee people, there lived a beloved chief called Sky. Chief Sky had seen many summers and winters. He had led his people through long seasons of peace. He had seen their warriors go through great battles with enemies, but now his step was slow and his hand trembled on the bow. He could no longer spot Brother Deer among the trees. He was no longer able to lead his people. And here is a picture of Chief Sky, who has definitely gotten older. But look how beautiful the mountains are in the background. One day, in the season of falling leaves, the chief called 3 young men to him and said, "One of you will take my place and become chief and lead our people. But first, I must put you to the test." Chief Sky turned slowly, looking into the distance. "Do you see yonder mountain?" The 3 young men followed the gaze of their chief and saw a great mountain rising out of the mist in the distance. "Yes," they answered, "we see the mountain." Chief Sky pointed toward the highest peak. "I want you to go to the mountaintop. Bring back to me what you find there." And here's Chief Sky directing those 3 warriors and looking out towards Yonder Mountain. The first young man, called Black Bear, quickly started up the side of the mountain after the sun reached the middle of the day. Black Bear came to a wide place in the trail where he stopped to rest. He leaned his head back upon a rock, and his eyes grew heavy. Just as his eyes were closing, he caught sight of 1,000 lights twinkling in the sun. Black Bear sat up straight and saw stones of great beauty lining each side of the trail. They sparkled and glowed in the sunlight. Black Bear examined the stone, carefully turning it over and over in his hand and watching the sun dance on each surface. "If my people had these stones, they would never be hungry again," he said. "We could trade them for food, and our lives would be better." And our Smoky Mountains are filled with all kinds of crystals and gems. Black Bear gathered the many sparkling stones and ran down the mountain and back to his village. The people saw him coming and lined the path as he entered the village. The children pointed to the sparkling stones and said, "See the pretty stones Black Bear has found?" Black Bear handed the stones to Chief Sky and said, "My chief, look what I have found. Beautiful stones. We can trade them for food. We'll never grow hungry. We will be safe through minty winters." The chief smiled fondly, the young man, and said, "You have done well, my son. You have done well. Let us now wait for the others." And here he is presenting those stones to the chief. It was really good thinking about trading them for food so that they would not starve. The second young man, called Gray Wolf, climbed the mountain and went past the place of the sparkling stones. He climbed higher and higher. The trail became steep and rugged. Finally, he came to an open place where he rested beside a trail. As Gray Wolf leaned against a rock, he saw herbs, roots, and bark on each side of the trail. He picked up an herb, looking closely at its pointed leaves and long roots. "These are the healing plants of our medicine man," he said. "If my people have these herbs and roots, they will no longer be sick and suffer. We could be healed with these plants." Gray Wolf gathered one of each of the plants and hurried down the mountain. And here he is, grabbing those herbs and roots to take back to his people. The people saw him coming and lined the pathway. The children waved and the elders said, "See all the herbs Gray Wolf has found? We will never be sick again." Gray Wolf ran to his chief and spread the plants before him. "Look, my chief, what I have found. We no longer need to suffer. I have found all kinds of herbs and we can be healed." The old chief smiled fondly on Gray Wolf and said, "You have done well, my son. You have done well. Now let us wait for Soaring Eagle, our last young man." And here he is presenting those herbs. They waited. Days went by and Soaring Eagle did not return. Still the village waited. After 6 days, the people began to murmur, "Something must have happened to Soaring Eagle. Why wait any longer?" But Chief Sky said to his people, "We will wait 1 day longer." And so they waited. On the 7th day, as the sun cast its long shadow over the village, the people saw Soaring Eagle coming. He stumbled with bleeding feet. His clothes were ripped and torn. He held nothing in his hands. And here, as they were waited, here comes Soaring Eagle. The people were quiet as Soaring Eagle fell at the feet of the chief. Soaring Eagle spoke softly to Chief Sky. "I went to the top of the mountain, my chief, but I bring back nothing in my hands. I passed a place where there were sparkling stones, but I remembered you said, 'Go to the top of the mountain.' I passed a place where all sorts of herbs grew, but I remember your words. The path was rough. There were great cliffs and sharp rocks. I have nothing in my hands to show you, but I bring back a story from the top of the mountain." And here he's sharing his journey with Chief Sky. The old chief put his hand on the shoulder of the young man. "Tell us your story, my son." Soaring Eagle began. "As I stood on Yonder Mountain and looked across the valley and beyond the farthest mountain, I saw a smoke signal. It was a signal calling for help. The signal said, 'We are dying,' and then, 'Come and help us.'" Soaring Eagle rose to his feet. Chief Sky pleaded, "We need to go to them quickly. They are in trouble." And here he is sharing his journey and his story about the people needing help. Chief Sky stood straight before his people and the 3 young men, pausing for a time. He lifted his eyes to the mountains and watched the mist settle on the peaks. He then turned to his people and spoke. "We need a leader who has climbed to the top of the mountain. We need one who has seen beyond the mountain to other people who are in need." And here's Chief Sky talking about Soaring Eagle's traits as he traveled up Yonder Mountain. The people watched as Chief Sky carefully began to remove his robe. He turned to face Soaring Eagle. "You, my son, shall wear the chief's robe," the beloved old leader declared. Chief Sky placed the robe over the torn clothing of the chosen young man. You shall be our next chief, soaring eagle. You will lead our people and help those who need. Yes, you will be our chief and help us climb yonder mountain. And here he is passing his robe in order to designate him as the new chief. Isn't that a beautiful picture of the Smoky Mountains? The Cherokee have great legends and great stories. If you ever get a chance to visit the Smoky Mountains, I hope you remember the legend of Yonder Mountain. Thank you.